Gracias. Buenos días a todos.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Until this morning, I didn't know what I was talking about. So, organizers were terrified. But I wake up very early every morning. I spend my time meditating. And depending on the inspiration I get from the morning and what I see in the audience, that's the way I speak. And after doing my meditation this morning and my reading in the morning, I was listening to a few news. One was the new terrorist attack in Paris with a few dead people and some arrested. It was because of corruption in Spain. It was yesterday also in Spain. So when you see these news, you think that in Europe, last information, we have about 40,000 young people born in Europe, but they went to the IS. And those are the ones who are known to have gone to the Islamic State. So have they been brainwashed? My question is, haven't we been able to give them better values, better ideals, that they prefer to risk their lives on behalf of the Islamic State? It's not brainwashing. We weren't able to give them a different ideal. And then corruption in Spain is, I travel all the way in South America, they say, Mr. Melé, we have to inform you that in our country we are very corrupt. And I smile, because they say this in Chile, Mexico, Colombia, and I say, well, you should say Spain. Hundreds, thousands of cases of corruption. It's not a few people. These politicians and bankers who have proven to be corrupted, we have to think, 4 days ago, there were children, and they were ever so nice. They were playing in their places, in the patio at school, and you would have kissed them. And the question is, what did we do wrong in our education to them so they turn this corrupt? And I want to talk about education. I'm pretty happy that we've got many young people. How are we educating so the world is like this? With this huge gap that we're creating, we are absolutely terrorizing the planet. We're destroying the planet. Last report from Lagos Treaty says 1% has more resources in the planet than the remaining 99%. This is the reality. This is the democratic world that we want to inspire and promote to young people. And of course, terrorists want to destroy this democratic, peaceful model. But we have to be sincere, we have to be honest. What are we doing? We have a spiritual breach. These people with so many resources, also they're not living okay because they have to take drugs to feel better. Those who commit suicide are double the ones, the people from wars and criminal attacks. This is reality. But still, we're asking people to study, to get prepared, to adapt society when they become adults. And I say to them, and I say to young people here, do not adapt to this society because it's sick. And if you adapt to them, you're going to become sick as well. You have to fight to change this. We created a model, but it's not a human model. It's not a human economy. And this has to do with the foundation of life's purpose. We lost the focus of what is to be human and the sense of life. And we reduced everything to something purely animalistic. Evolution, I'm not going to talk about evolution theory. Man is an animal. We have to survive. We have to fight for survival or to adapt. And we repeat these mantras, these hypotheses, these dogmas. And finally, it becomes a reality. So we don't live like human, we live like scared, frightened animals fighting amongst each other to survive. And because we want to survive, we said no to actually living like humans. That's what we need to do, to educate young people to try to implement a human economy. But we need to understand what is a human being. From my perspective, human being, we're not animals. You can think whatever you want about yourselves. And I understand that looking at some people, I'm tempted to consider that we're very close to monkeys, I know. But a human person, we only need to observe a young person or a baby. There are three things we can do that animals can't do. First year of life, we stand and we learn how to walk. Second year, we learn how to speak. And third year of life, we learn how to think better. So there are three abilities or capacities that animals don't have, and they mark our futures. They set the pattern for our future. So these capacities, these capabilities, we are freedom as well. We can love and we can create. We have creativity. We got this capability. They are not realities yet, But sense of life is to develop these three abilities. And we see this in art, and human history is full of these things. We're capable of creating wonderful things. Creating music, painting, poetry. A month ago I was discussing with a famous Spanish scientific. They say that he's a great scientist. Very simple ideas. They were saying life has no sense. We're just atoms and molecules that out of a chance work together, so nothing has sense. When nothing makes sense, of course life is going to make sense, and if nothing makes sense and we just atoms, why couldn't we rob, steal, kill somebody? Because we're only atoms. Nobody cares. So this is reality. So I was saying to this teacher, if this is like this, can you explain to me why at the end of the evolution chain we do poetry? What does poetry have to do with fight for survival? Nothing at all. We do poetry, we do music, we do painting because we're human. Because it's not needed, but that's why it's important. Because we come out of the field of necessity, we do it because we're free, because we love. Because what we've got inside, we want to share with others. So it is possible for a human being to be free, to think, not only to think about yourself and your survival, but your community, and to become a creative being, not only in technology, for example. Computers, we got smartphones, we got quantum computers. I don't know if that's good. I'm not very interested in that. But we're able to create all these wonderful things. Why don't we do that in economy, in social interests? Because it's possible and it's needed. But we've got a problem, and it's very serious in education. We're being guided by the PISA report. And PISA report that is being made by OECD is a business organization that tells how to educate people. And they say that maths are very important, and sciences and grammar, and of course, financial education. But it doesn't talk about education in music or art or human arts. In fact, we are getting rid of those human arts. And people tell me, but what's the use of that? And they say very arrogantly, why do you need that? So the problem is not ignorance, it's arrogance. They call human arts because they make us human. So if you don't teach those things, we're not learning how to be more human. So I'm not going to tell that we have to burn this PISA report because they will call me terrorist. But somebody says that Spain doesn't work because maths are not really good in Spain. But that's not true. People who made this country miserable were very good in finances. All of them were doctors. They had MBAs from American universities because they seem to be very cool. But Spain, with these guys, is going really bad in terms of values, human values. And nobody says this in the PISA report. And nobody tells these things to our young people. We talk about competitiveness. We keep on teaching about the law of demand and offer. And we keep on repeating this mantra. And when I talk with executives and powerful people in business, and they say, what's your mission in the company? And I ask this with the CEOs, they go, I don't know. They look at me in a funny way. We want to increase 30% our sales. And I say to them, no, I mean your mission, your vision. What's the sense? What's your purpose? What do you do on earth? And they say, I don't know. If I'm healthy and I got a job, I'm happy. But it's not just about money and profits. That's why it's important to stop. What do we want to make of our lives in the time that we've been given? What do we want to contribute to the world? What do we want to make of ourselves? Not just to make money, to earn money and consume and buy things that we never going to need. As human beings, how can we find out what the human essence really is? An inner experience, spirituality. And you may say, what is this guy as a banker talking about spirituality? Yes, everybody has to speak about spiritual needs in a very deep sense, to discover who we are and to live life with this profound sense. And this is the fundamental thing today. I've been for 40 years spending a couple of hours in silence to meditate, to study spiritual things, because without these things I can't go to the world outside, because the world will eat me alive. Well, the world is like this, we have to adapt. No, I want to create these changes and other people to adapt. I don't want to adapt to these worlds. I fight to change these things. And we've done it. I've been 10 years in Triodos Bank, developing ethical bank, and I'm now helping in South America. And everybody told me 10 years ago, this is not possible. The market, like a god. The laws of the market. Market is not a god. Free people, we don't have laws. The market cannot force us to buy the cheapest things. The market cannot force us to buy cheap.
Aprovecho para...
Just take a moment to drink. So, all of these laws of the market, supply and demand, they told us that it wasn't possible, but I'll tell you this, you won't do it. We've got 25 offices in Spain, a special one in Malaga. If something makes sense and it's necessary, and you commit yourself, it's possible to do it. This is the word. First of all, wake up your conscience, and then you'll make the change. Not to work for your salary and to have property, but to give to the world everything, all the abilities that you have. But for this reason, for this purpose, you have to find them, your spiritual and your interior qualities. Not let yourself be dominated, but to be free of fears, to be free of ambitions, of subconscious instincts, to know the truth and act in line with it. To live with enthusiasm for life. The fire of the heart, and then take this to a practical commitment. What can I do for the world? The world is full of problems, and somebody has to come and solve it. But we can solve it. So instead of the PISA report, I don't say that you should burn it, but for the education, we can put it in a drawer. But we need to recover the values like the Greeks, Plato, spoke about educating the society and the ideal of the goodness. I've used this with my directors and with my employees in Triodos Bank. We've put it in practice like we do at the moment, and we leave it as a guideline, and there will be many guidelines to talk about in the future, and this is what I'm going to talk about. What does the truth mean in a company? This means authenticity, coherence and transparency. Transparency. That from those outside can see inside what we're doing and how we're doing it and how our decisions affect others and affect our planet. That transparency. Secondly, beauty. Beauty can sound something very philosophical, but when something is beautiful, it has harmony, it has proportions, it has balance. It's sustainable. This fashionable word, sustainability. Of course, if something's sustainable, then it will continue in the future. How can we establish a new art, but not something plastic, but something social, something of relating with other people in a harmonious and balanced way? They say that we're the intelligent species, but there are always more people that are less intelligent in the world. When somebody's intelligent, they say, this guy is very intelligent. But the question is, how has he changed the world? How has he affected the world? The reference today is not intelligence, which is a good thing to be intelligent, but don't show off about it. But the only thing that you can show off about is goodness. This is a life option, a life choice. So if I have something, how can I put it to the service of others? This goodness is, again, another good word, but it's degenerated. So we use this word, this poor. So it means that somebody is proactive, that has initiative, that commits themselves. This is a good person. You see someone that's suffering and you ask what you can do for them. So in your country, you ask what you can do for your country. A proactive person, look at your abilities. I always say to young people, don't work for a salary. Work because thanks to you, the world will be better. And then, obviously, you'll earn a decent salary, but don't sell your abilities for a salary. A month ago in Guatemala, a young 24-year-old girl left a very good job in a multinational company, but she didn't feel fulfilled. She started working for a charity for 1/6 of the money that she was earning there. But this is a person of the future, a human being that can exist on Earth, that we still haven't seen, but it's there, it's powerful. This is a strong threat that's coming, is post-humanism. They want to remove human beings. So if we eliminate humans and the problems they create in the world, like the Silicon Valley, we want to genetically modify human beings. Not long ago, this in Spain, we were talking about this. But modify to whose image? To your image? Well, if it's to your image, I don't want it. And then they want to implant chips in the brain so that they can connect us to the big data and blah, blah, blah. They're talking about getting rid of the human being. And this is a danger. This exists. Because this is taking away our strength that we have. Not long ago in Barcelona, well, several months ago, there's an important business school, and I was giving a talk to some of the teachers. And after this, they asked, what can we do? The teachers asked, what can we do to improve the world? Then I thought for a few moments, and then I recommended that they recommend to all of their students to wake up an hour early and spend some time in meditation and reading spiritual texts. And the teacher said, well, can you suggest something practical? And I said, well, this is the most practical thing I can recommend, to spend an hour dedicated to getting to know yourself better and to learn that you can be the best person possible. We are people. So are we real in our day-to-day activities, or do we represent a role? With 56 years old, I learned freedom for the first time when I left a traditional bank and I started with the ethical banking project. For the first time in my life, I had no fear. I lost the fear, and I started to act for something that I believed in. And I realized that I'd just been a person, a character. I was just trying to be what other people wanted me to be. We lie. We lie to ourselves. The other people want to be what I'm not. So in the courses and the workshops that I give, I put an exercise to the people. If you walk around the forest for an hour and write about what you would like to be as a person, and people are blank, they don't know. But the thing is that we don't even know what we want to be. Dedicate some time every day to think about that. So put an effort into change once you learn that. When you find yourself, then take it into your everyday life. It doesn't matter what you want to be. If you want to be a business person or a director or a doctor, be authentic and truthful. Not the relations with other people, not based on power and demand, but based on love, based on one-to-one. It's love for being interested for any human being. Not whether it be your subordinate, your manager, it doesn't matter, but just to be interested and to know, get to know other people. And this is what will bring change in the world. And if you look at a small child, they show how to stand up different from an animal. In one workshop, we put them to walk around on all fours. But to feel how a dog feels, has to do everything with the mouth, being on all fours, but standing up, we're free. With the hands, we can create what we need. We don't need to have wings to fly, nor fins to swim. With the hands, we create what we need. In the second year of life, we learn to speak. We communicate our interior world with the world around us. Through talking, we get to know each other, and through getting to know each other, we can discover and really love each other. And in the end, standing up, the brain is vertical, and thinking, we can learn the truth. In the child, this is already present. Then in life we start to work like animals, we forget all of this. Everything that we've established as a civilization. There are people in private life, maybe they have a bit of religion, a bit of meditation in reading, but then with work and with money, something else. We're schizophrenics. We're dividing private life from work life. This schizophrenia is an illness that's taking us to a disaster. Talking with people privately, they say, oh yeah, I completely agree with you and I completely support you. In Triodos Bank, I have a talk with people and they say, oh yes, yeah, definitely I support you and we support everything you're doing, and they become customer. No, they become a customer of another bank, but they support you. But it's almost better that they support another bank than that you become my client. It's very incoherent, it doesn't make sense. So the world won't change because we are not coherent. We don't have the courage to look for the truth and to be ourselves. And if I don't like how I am, then I'm going to fight to change. Think about where we are in our work, in our business, and the new economy has to be based on human beings. For this to be possible, we have to make an effort to develop humanity in ourselves and to change education. I say that as the last word, that we need to change the education system. The destructive system and the aggressive system, the bullying at school, but to be, the current society doesn't permit it. If we work with these three ideas, the truth, love, and beauty, and commitment and goodness, not as philosophical ideas, but as commitments and practical commitments to take into our companies. Thank you.